Good morning. This is me, Ma. On the last program, I told you about how Fred and I met and how that he had given me a ring at Christmas. So, in April the 24th of 1955, Fred and I got married at Bethesda Home for Boys. He was raised at Bethesda Home for Boys. His father had died when he was 9 years old, and his mother had to put him out there when he was 11 because the money had run out and she had no way to support them. And he often said that this was the best thing that ever happened to him, but it was still traumatic for an 11-year-old boy to go. And so this is where we were married, at the chapel out there, and it's a beautiful chapel. And we had a beautiful wedding. Had it not been for my girlfriend Shirley, we probably could not have done what we did. But I had a beautiful wedding, and we had I had brides and maids and a matron of honor and the beautiful wedding gown that she let me borrow. We had the reception out on the lawn there at Bethesda. And so it was beautiful. And it only cost me about $100. And today's weddings that I hear about was like $40,000. My goodness, we could have bought a home back then for $40,000. So it doesn't take a lot of money for you to get married and stay married, because we were married for 54 years. And then we went on our honeymoon to New Orleans. And oh my goodness, what a place for a naive country gal to go on their honeymoon. I mean, it was a real eye-opener. I mean, the first trip we made down Bourbon Street, when I saw these half-naked women dancing on the bars, and this was before air conditioners, so the doors were open and you could see what was going on. I was shocked. We didn't have to go in. I was shocked enough just walking down the street. But we did everything there was to do in the French Quarter. We went to see the above-ground cemeteries. We went on the wharf where they unloaded the banana boats. We saw all the beautiful Creole work. We ate at a lot of nice places. We went out to Lake Pontchartrain. And one night Fred asked somebody, said, where do we need to go to eat? And they said, Antoine's. And he said, well, let's go there. And I knew that Antoine's was a world-famous restaurant because I'd read about it in all my historical romance books. So, man, I thought I'd come up in the world. I had a husband who was going to take me to Antoine's. So we go in, and the maitre d' meets us, and he's in this black suit, and he's got this towel draped over his arm, and he ushers us to this table, and we sit down with these linen tablecloths, and the silverware and the crystal, and man, this little girl had thought she had arrived. We were eating at Antoine's. So they brought the menus out on a little riblet on a plate for us to try. So we were sitting there trying our little riblets, looking at the menu, and Fred said, oh my gosh. And honest, the prices were extravagant. I mean, I knew it was a world-class restaurant, but they got world-class prices also. Anyway, long story short, the waiter came and wanted to know what we wanted to order. And Fred looks up at him, very nonchalant, and said, do you have spaghetti? And the waiter says, no. Like, he was horrified that we would even ask that. And then Fred says, well, my wife particularly wanted spaghetti, and I hadn't said anything about wanting spaghetti. And I was so embarrassed, And then Fred gets up and says, come on, let's go. And we start walking out the restaurant. And I said, Fred, I am so embarrassed. I felt like Charlie Chaplin when he kept getting smaller and smaller as he was walking away. And Fred said, I would have been a whole lot more embarrassed had we stayed. So to give you some idea, we walked around the corner to Tony's Spaghetti House, and we got a spaghetti dinner each for like 79 cents. So anyway, we had a wonderful night, but I should have known right there. He started blaming me because we needed to leave the restaurant. But he was a good teacher. I learned how to blame him for things too. So anyway, that was our experience at Antoine. So I have been to a world-famous restaurant in my life. I didn't say we ate. I just said we had been. So anyway, while we were there, somebody told us to go to the My Oh My Club. And I didn't know we were being set up. But anyway, we went to the My Oh My Club. And it was a club where transvestites put on a show. Well, there was nothing wrong with the show. The show was good, but I didn't even know there was such a thing as a transvestite. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a homosexual until I was 19, and I'm 20 now. And so I'm really getting an education. But I had seen this good-looking guy on the corner there in Savannah, and I thought he was good looking. He wore a turtleneck sweater and tall, dark, and handsome. And my girlfriend told me, said, you don't want to mess with him. Said, he's a homosexual. I said, well, what is that? I said, I know what a homo sapien is, but I don't know what a homosexual is. So that was my introduction to a different lifestyle. But anyway, when we came back from our honeymoon, we settled into back to routine again. I was working at Stevens Shipping Company. Fred was a bail bondsman, and he had to be close to the jail, so we were 2 blocks from the city jail, and we were a block away from the county jail. And so that's where we lived. There, we had 4 rooms, but one of the rooms was an office, and we had another door to come into our living room. And it was sadly in need of repairs when we moved in there, but that was part of Fred's salary that we could live there rent-free. So my brothers-in-laws helped me fix it up, and my mother-in-law. So by the time we finished, we had a cute little place. I mean, it was very, very pretty. But anyway, and then the kitchen was not anything that anybody would be proud of today. But I had a sink, and it didn't even have a cabinet to go with it. But my brother-in-law's made a top for the cabinet, and then we put skirts around it because there was no doors to the cabinets. But the skirt was a navy blue print, and then I had organdy curtains in there with that same navy blue print that edged them. So it was frills on the curtains, and so it was real pretty. And we painted over a table and 4 chairs. And I bought a used stove for $25. I bought a refrigerator for $35 and a dryer for $50. And we didn't have, a washer. We didn't even have dryers back in those days. I had to hang my clothes out on the line. So that'll give you some idea of what I started off life with like. But I was really busy. I was working, Fred was working. So when I came home, I had to wash and iron and do the dishes and cook. And then we went to see his brother and sister on the weekend, went to see my mom and dad on the weekend, went to other things that we wanted to do, went with friends. And so we stayed busy. So you might ask, well, where was the Lord during all this time? Well, I'm sorry to say that I put him on the back shelf, kind of. I didn't really think about that that's what I did because we didn't go to church. Fred worked at night. He couldn't go to church on Sunday. And I wasn't going to go by myself. I didn't read my Bible. I didn't have time to read my Bible. I was too busy. But I always said my bedtime prayers. Now, I told you before, it was more routine than anything else. But I always put my wish list on the end. But I just thank God that he is a God of patience and that he's a God of mercy and a God of grace, because I see now that he was still with me even though I wasn't acknowledging him. So next week I hope you'll enjoy, well, watch us as we come to share with you how things got started when Fred and I got married. So have a blessed day. Listen, like, comment, share, and subscribe. It doesn't cost anything.